right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us. So I'm very excited to be here and share my research with all of you. So my talk is about next frontier of AI in creative spaces. So designing AI systems for creative spaces that aren't just technologically advanced, but also prioritizes human values, like user experience, and also can effectively collaborate with humans to enhance human creativity. So co-creative AI changes the relationship of people, like between people and technology, as AI is no longer just acts as a tool, but it is a partner and collaborator in the creative process. And this shift raises foundational questions about agency, collaboration, and communication, and a lot of other foundational things in creativity. So in this presentation, I will share how my research contributes to human-centered design of AI in creative spaces with theoretical and empirical insights. So without further ado, let's dive into the research talk. So this is the outline of my research talk. So I will start with a brief introduction to the field and a background of the field, and then I will provide a research overview, and then I will talk about 3 of my recent ongoing projects. And lastly, I will talk about the key contribution of my research. So let me first introduce you to the field, human AI co-creativity. So human AI co-creativity is a rapidly growing area where humans and AI collaborates on a creative process to generate something creative ideas or performance. Co-creative AI can help us in generating art, music, creative writing, design, and more. And in human AI co-creation, the final product is expected to be more creative than any individual party can achieve alone. And this research area is growing extremely fast, given that AI is being increasingly used in creative spaces, and with the advances of generative AI, it's like extremely relevant now. So here we see some examples of co-creative AI tools in different domains. We first see Reframer, which is a co-creative AI tool which collaborates with humans for drawing. And we see Shimon, which collaborates with musicians to create jazz music. And we also see Lumin AI that collaborates with humans in dance improvisation. So why human-centered co-creative AI? Why does it matter? A big part of my research is about human-centered co-creative AI. But what actually motivated me? So unlike general human-computer interaction, human AI co-creation creates this complex dynamics between humans and AI, as AI actively contributes and collaborates in the creative process. AI takes on human-like roles such as like evaluator, partner, generator, and AI creates novel content blended with user contribution, because it's a active collaboration. So this complex dynamics makes the design of co-creative systems even more challenging. While we have seen tremendous algorithmic progress in generative AI, visible in both popular culture and academic literature, the human-centered co-creative AI, this perspective is still underexplored. And many existing systems that prioritize, like many existing systems in this field, prioritize what AI generates, but often overlooks user experience, like what user actually experience in co-creation, how much control they have, and how transparent the AI is. So the progression of this field actually requires the creation of co-creative systems to go beyond technological advancement and prioritize human experience and values. So yeah, motivated by that, my research look into various aspects of human AI co-creativity. And I have worked on different projects, but today I'm going to present the most recent ongoing research projects, three most recent ongoing research projects with you. The first projects I'm going to talk about is designing effective AI communication, like how AI can communicate with humans more effectively to foster transparency and collaboration. The second project I'll talk about, it focuses on exploring mental models of co-creative AI, just exploring user perception so that the AI can adapt itself and it can cater to different user needs. And the third project focuses on balancing user control between humans and AI, which can improve agency, like human agency, and synergy between humans and AI in co-creation. So all these research projects uncovers insights that contribute to the design of human-centered co-creative AI. So that's the overview. So let's dive into the first project, which is about designing effective AI communication in human AI co-creativity, where we contribute with a framework, a design framework, and also empirical insights. So let's first see what is AI communication. What do we mean by AI communication? So we already kind of discussed what human AI co-creativity is, like where humans and AI actually contribute to a shared creative artifact. So that's contribution, right? Both party contributing. But AI communication is when the AI directly and purposefully convey information to the humans, right? So it focuses on direct communication, excluding indirect communication that could happen through sense making of creative contributions. So just like human collaboration, communication is essential in human AI co-creation as well. However, it is challenging to design AI communication in such systems because human AI partnership creates this complex dynamics where you have to convey intricate information in different stages of co-creation. So why this? Why AI communication? So in one of my preliminary research that I actually conducted in 2022 as a PhD student, I analyzed the interaction design of 92 existing co-creative systems interaction design, and I found more than 82% existing co-creative systems that I analyzed cannot communicate directly with humans. What does that mean? So here we can see some user interfaces of co-creative systems. And here we can see users use maybe buttons or sliders to instruct the AI or communicate with AI. But the AI doesn't have any direct way to communicate with humans. The user just says it, it creates something, right? So even with the recent advancement in LLMs, in many different fields, like in many different domains of co-creative AI, we still see that there is a lack of AI communication. The AI cannot effectively communicate to humans. So the gap I identified in 2022 still remains highly relevant. So that research gap actually led me to another study that I did where I investigated the impact of AI communication on co-creation. So I investigated that with a comparative study. So we had two versions of a co-creative AI for co-designing. So one version didn't have any AI communication, and the other version had AI communication through text, speech, and the AI avatar's facial expression. Other than that, everything was the same. So we tried to investigate the impact of AI communication. And we found that there is a significant difference when AI can communicate. It impacted collaboration quality, user engagement, and user perception of AI positively. And also when the AI could communicate, the reliability or the trustworthiness of AI also increased. So based on my preliminary research, although AI communication improves several aspects of user experience, most co-created AI I saw lack AI communication. So inspired by this, I dived into the literature and I found that, again, most literature largely focuses on AI contribution or what AI can generate, but it often overlooks AI communication, like how it can effectively communicate. So motivated by this research gap, we sought to identify the most essential components of AI communication that should be considered when designing such systems. So we started with a systematic literature review to identify the key aspects of AI communication through iterative discussion and preliminary research. We figured the keywords and we did the search in ACM Digital Library. And through the filtering, abstract review, removing duplicates and everything, we retained 107 key papers that informed the development of the design framework. So we introduced a framework for AI communication, in short, FICO. So FICO introduces 5 key aspects to consider for AI communication and discusses each aspect's influence on user experience. So in the next few slides, I will show you the details of how these aspects influence the user experience. So the first one is modality. So according to FICO, modality refers to the distinct communication channel through which AI can communicate with humans. And based on FICO, AI communication could happen through text, visual, speech, haptic, and embodied. So each of these influences user experience in unique ways. For example, text improves perceived AI personality and user satisfaction. Visual improves user understanding, and speech enhances communication quality and builds trust. Haptic feedback deepens emotional connection, and embodied communication reinforces the sense of collaboration and presence. The second aspect of FICO is response mode, which refers to how AI initiates or reacts during co-creation. So a proactive AI starts communication on its own, which can build trust and prompt critical reflection. A reactive AI responds only when prompted, like after a user click, enhancing task performance and perceived usefulness. This is the third aspect of FICO, which is timing, which refers to when an AI system communicates with users. So synchronous communication happens in real time. It's ideal for active collaboration, such as like brainstorming or improvisation. And asynchronous collaboration could be better suited for reflection or evaluation when the user needs a little more time to consider the AI input at their own pace. Then we had communication type, which refers to the kind of communication with which the AI convey information to humans. And types of AI communication includes feedback, suggestion, and explanation. So feedback is especially useful for evaluation. Suggestions are most effective early on in the co-creative phase, and explanation play critical roles in building trust and transparency. The last aspect in FICO is tone. So tone refers to the qualities of AI communication that determine whether the communication conveys a positive intent or not. So politeness can enhance positive perception of AI. Warmth makes AI feel more approachable, boosting user satisfaction. Friendliness contributes to user engagement. And lastly, cultural alignment can support AI acceptance and perceived reliability. So So that was FICO, but what are the applications of FICO? So here are some practical applications of FICO. On the left, we see like how we translated FICO into design cards to support designers and developers with direction and inspiration as they design AI communication for co-creative AI. And on the right, you see how FICO could be utilized as a configuration tool for users to customize and adjust AI communication based on their needs and preference. And FICO can also be used as an evaluation tool if you want to analyze the communication in existing co-creative systems. You can use that as well. So to identify users' preference for AI communication and gather feedback on FICO, we conducted a preliminary study with 2 focus groups with 12 experts in AI, HCI, and design. So this is the procedure. We started with introducing the participants with AI communication, what we mean by that, and then they discuss their preferences and what they think about AI communication, what they want, and then participants engaged in a collaborative design task where they brainstormed and designed how AI communication could be designed in co-creative settings, one in co-creative writing and co-creative design. And then we asked some follow-up discussion questions to understand their design decisions in the design task. So what did we find? So we found that participants found FICO to be a helpful tool for designing AI communication. We also found that modalities and communication types were the most considered aspect while they designed AI communication. We also found FICO prompted consideration of often overlooked aspects in AI communication, such as tone, as participants kind of discussed, they wouldn't have thought about tone without FICO. So our findings also reveal user preference for AI communication. Like most users wanted simple, clear AI communication so that there is no sensory overload. They emphasized on cultural norms in AI communication to avoid biases. Their expectations of AI communication from co-creative AI was like a partner with empathy rather than a mere tool. They desired for human AI communication loops over linear one-shot communication. So there is this back and forth communication between humans and AI. And finally, users want the ability to configure and customize AI communication. Lastly, the last thing I wanted to show you is participants stressed the importance of tailoring AI communication based on context. So findings show that creative phase influences how users want AI to communicate with them. So user desired open-ended creative communication at the beginning of co-creation, and at the end, they wanted more focused suggestions from AI. So right now, we are developing this co-creative AI for co-designing with refined AI communication according to FICO. The development is still underway for this AI with which we want to explore what users actually want in different phases of co-creation, the nuances of AI communication. How can we make it beneficial for users in different phases of co-creation? So that was project 1. So let's now look at project 2, which is about exploring users' mental models of co-creative AI. So again, from one of my earlier studies, I found that how users perceive AI roles, like users' perception of AI roles, such as tool versus collaborator, actually influences their ethical stances toward ethical dilemmas in co-creative AI. So perceiving co-creative co-creative AI as a tool gives them this false sense of security, and perceiving AI as a collaborator actually makes them think about the concerns that could be associated with interacting with such AI. So this finding actually led me to exploring mental models, as this finding reinforces the necessity of appropriate mental models of co-creative AI so that users are aware of the risks they are exposed to when they're interacting to AI. However, the literature on users' mental model, again, is very limited. I didn't actually found much. So before I tell you what we did, I wanted to talk about some terms I will be using. So mental models are cognitive constructs developed through real-world experience with systems that allow humans to understand how a system works and explain and predict how a system will work. And mental models are subjective, and they can be, once developed, they can be resistant to change even in the face of contradictory evidence. And according to the literature, conceptual model of a target system is a key concept to consider while exploring mental models. Conceptual models, what are they? Conceptual models are simplified presentation of the target system aligned with scientifically accepted knowledge and developed by experts. So the literature on design and creativity emphasizes the necessity of conceptual model of a system before we can explore users' mental model. Why? Because mental models are essentially black boxes. There is no established research that tells us what a mental model of an individual consists of, right? So conceptual model of a system provides a structured approach to understand and represent the key components of users' mental models. So we asked 3 research questions for this project. The first one being, what are the constructs of conceptual model of co-creative AI? Because it is important. First, we come up with that to explore mental models. And then what types of mental models of co-creative AI do users possess? And lastly, is there any association between mental models of co-creative AI, their demographics, and their ethical stances? So to answer the first question, I propose this conceptual model of co-creative AI as a framework to explore mental models of co-creative AI. So based on this framework, conceptual model of co-creative AI has 3 main components: creativity model, interaction model, and utility model. So creativity model encompasses the computational creativity aspect of co-creative AI, like what will it generate, how will it contribute, the roles it can play. The interaction model represents how the AI interacts and collaborates with humans. And the utility model encompasses the system's usefulness, ease of use, and satisfaction. So researchers can design surveys, interviews, or other methods when exploring mental models using this conceptual model. So we conducted a study with 155 participants, and we used 2 co-creative systems to explore their mental models. Here we used ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion. So the study took place in a Qualtrics survey remotely. So first, the participants engage in this creative writing task with ChatGPT, where they come up with a creative story, and then they answer some mental model questions, and then they created a visual for the story they created with ChatGPT with Stable Diffusion, and then again answered the mental model questions about Stable Diffusion. We collected their stances against some ethical dilemmas in co-creation, and lastly, we collected their user demographics. So what did we find? So for identifying different mental models of both AI, we clustered participants based on their um, responses to mental model questions. So as the features of the clustering, we use the components of the creativity model, interaction model, and utility model. So we found two distinct clusters of mental models of ChatGPT. The first cluster of mental models we can see comprises 75 participants, and the second cluster has 80 participants. I know it looks very busy, but I'm gonna explain them. So participants in the same cluster, like cluster one, this is the cluster one, this is the cluster two. So participants in the same cluster share similar mental models. And this table provides an overview of the cluster centroids, highlighting notable feature differences indicated in red and green. So a green highlight indicates feature differences, directional differences in agreement, for example, agree versus disagree. And a red highlight indicates a magnitude difference, for example, agree, but in different degrees, like somewhat agree or strongly agree, right? So we will address the first mental model as partnership-oriented mental model, as this mental model has a attitude towards ChatGPT, like a positive attitude towards ChatGPT, and it actually perceives it as a partner that we see here. And for the tool-oriented mental model, that's the opposite. They have a negative attitude toward ChatGPT, and also they perceive it as tool-like. So for stable diffusion, we found three different mental models. The first one being mixed mental model. We are addressing it as mixed mental model, as the participants having this mental model exhibit a mixed attitude toward stable diffusion, so showing some level of satisfaction while also expressing some perception of AI being tool-like, right? And the second one is, again, partnership oriented. So participants who have this mental model of stable diffusion, they kind of perceived it as collaborative rather than tool-like, and kind of agreed it provides surprising assistance. And the last one being tool-oriented, which is the opposite of partnership-oriented, where they perceived it as a tool and had some negative attitude towards it. So we found different types of mental models, and then we found some association between mental models and some variables. So here, the study revealed an association between users' mental model and their AI expertise. We also found AI expertise as a significant predictor for predicting their mental models of a system like ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion. So on the left, you can see the mental models of ChatGPT across different kinds of AI expertise. When people are expert in AI, you see they 100%, like they have partnership-oriented mental model. The opposite, for people who are not very knowledgeable, they have tool-oriented mental model of ChatGPT. And we see kind of the same thing in stable diffusion as well. Here we see like people who are extremely knowledgeable, they have a partnership-oriented mental model of stable diffusion. So recognizing the relationship between mental models and users' knowledge of AI highlights the importance of AI literacy among general public. And users with limited knowledge of AI may have inaccurate mental models of AI. And this is consistent with the literature of mental models, where they say like novices have, a lot of time they have inaccurate mental models. So we also found association between ethical stances of users towards multiple ethical dilemmas such as anthropomorphism, data collection, and impact of co-creative AI. So anthropomorphism in AI is attributing human-like characteristics to AI. So we found this significant association between these um, ethical stances and mental models, which means people who have positive ethical view toward all these, they're most likely to have the partnership-oriented mental models for both ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion. And these findings imply that for designing human-centered, ethical, co-creative AI, it is important to consider different user group mental models of co-creative AI. And when users' mental models are aligned with the ethical principles of a system, they are more likely to trust the system, and they're more likely to engage with the system. So the last thing I want to show from this project, so we also found this association between participants' formative background and their ethical stances. So based on the collected data, we found the significant association between how users feel about data collection by AI and where they grew up. So people who grew up in large cities, most of them actually feel positively about AI collecting their data. People who grew up in small town, neutral mostly, and people who grew up in rural areas, they felt more negative about AI collecting their data. So currently, I'm working on analyzing the stories and the images that we collected from the study to identify if how users write their prompts, if that is associated with their mental models. And also, we also want to identify if how users write their prompts, different prompt types, if that is directly associated with different creativity that emerge from co-creation. So that was project 2. Going into project 3. Project 3 is about balancing control between humans and AI in co-creation. So control is a crucial yet underexplored concept in human AI co-creativity, while conventional HCI emphasize that users should have the full control over any computational tools. Co-creativity literature says that it requires a more nuanced understanding of shared control where both humans and AI can exercise creative autonomy in co-creation. So in the literature of co-creativity, control is a loosely defined term, and there are like overlapping terminologies. However, broadly defined, control is the act of determining, initiating, and directing the co-creation. So who is to lead? Who should initiate? Who should decide something? Who should direct co-creation, right? So as AI become increasingly capable co-creative partner, this shift from tool to partner actually makes all these questions about control between humans and AI more crucial. So in co-creativity, achieving the balance of control between humans and AI requires user retaining their agency while also providing AI with its creative autonomy so that it can help us in expressing ourselves. So recent work in the literature indicates control in co-creativity is shifting towards AI extreme, raising concerns about maintaining user agency and ownership. On top of that, as I mentioned, control is a loosely defined term in this literature. So how can we balance human agency and AI autonomy is a pressing question. So these are the questions we asked. What are the key dimensions of control? Because as I said, it is a loosely defined term. So what are the key dimensions of control in co-creativity, and how can control be balanced between humans and AI in co-creativity? So to answer these questions, we again started with a systematic literature review. We conducted this literature review pretty much with the same approach that I showed you before. Preliminary literature review, iterative discussion. We came up with with 5 complex cue phrases, and then we used ACM Digital Library and Association of Computational Creativity databases to look for papers. And after the filtering process, we ended up with 172 papers, which we then analyzed and synthesized so that we can actually identify the dimensions of control. So based on our synthesis, we developed a framework that presents the dimensions of control and the strategies of balancing control. So we introduced Mosaic, which stands for Managing Optimization Towards Shared Autonomy, Authority, and Initiative in Co-Creation. So let's look at each of these dimensions. The first one is autonomy, which refers to the ability of the agents to choose its own creative action during the co-creation. The Mosaic framework identifies 3 levels of autonomy in co-creativity, like full human autonomy, where AI doesn't have any autonomy, then shared autonomy, where the distribution of autonomy is shared, and then full AI autonomy, where AI independently generates creative artifacts without human oversight. So the next one is initiative, which refers to the ability to proactively contribute to the creative process. Same thing, same axis, same spectrum, from full human initiative, where AI cannot initiate anything. It waits for a user to prompt. And then full AI initiative, where system can contribute on its own without human prompting. The last one being authority, which refers to the extent of decision-making or directing power that shapes the creative process. So it relates to the tactical means of achieving a goal in co-creation. So according to Mosaic, in full human authority, AI acts solely as a support tool, as human retains the ultimate authority in directing the co-creation and deciding everything. And full AI authority is when AI autonomously determines creative directions without human intervention, and the shared authority enables negotiation and mutual adoption. Right? So all these 3 dimensions as a whole makes this control space that we envisioned. And you see where all 3 axes actually intersects at the full human end. That's the point where human has the full control. On the opposite end, where AI has full control, that we see AI has full control. And in the middle of this space, we are envisioning that that's where we have the shared autonomy, in different combinations. Shared control, sorry. So as a part of Mosaic, we identify 2 main strategies for balancing control in human AI co-creativities: AI controlled adaptation and human controlled customization. So in AI controlled adaptation, the system dynamically adjusts its autonomy, initiative, and authority based on the task and context. For example, AI might take more responsibility when it tracks that user has more cognitive load and step back during more complex or critical decision points. And human control customization gives user the ability to, customize and change control in different contexts. So we asked actually another follow-up question here. How do experts conceptualize control, and what are their preferences regarding human AI control distribution? Because in the literature, we don't see like how practitioners actually conceptualize control. There is this gap between theory and practice. So, so to investigate our follow-up question, we conducted a focus group with 9 experts in HCI, AI, and computational creativity. And our focus group began with an intro. We presented Mosaic, and then we gave them some design tasks. And we ended with a semi-structured discussion. So we found that participants felt strongly about human having the full authority and humans having the higher level authority. Maybe AI can have some authority, very minor level decision making. And participants mentioned that they want shared autonomy as a productive middle ground, and wanted shared initiative as well. So just trying to wrap up. So we also found that participants discussed that control is highly contextualized, and how control is shaped. It is shaped by different factors like temporal phases of co-creation, trust, purpose, and creative domains of the system. Participants wanted flexibility in adjusting control. They also raised ethical concern that AI lacks accountability and human brings bias. So how to balance that? And how they envision control was dynamic rather than static. And they emphasized that autonomy, authority, and initiative shouldn't be treated as isolated dimensions. They're interdependent, and the system should balance them holistically. And participants also introduced the idea of creative friction as a form of as a form of challenge that could actually push them think differently. And participants lastly also emphasized empowering AI so that it is not a tool only, it is also a creative partner. So just to wrap up, for this project, my ongoing work is refining the Mosaic framework with the empirical insights we got, and we are also exploring nuanced strategies that let control shift dynamically based on context. So again, just to wrap up, I want to highlight the key contributions of my research to the vision of human-centered co-creative AI. Through Project 1, I developed FICO framework as a design guide. And also we found some design implications for designing AI communication for co-creative AI that can foster transparency and collaboration. Project 2, we introduced this conceptual model as a form of a framework for exploring mental models. We identified different types of mental models, association between mental models and other variables. In Project 3, we introduced Mosaic, also kind of bridged the gap between theory and practice with the expert and practitioner perspectives. So all these contributions are transferable to broader domains, and together they contribute to human-centered co-creative AI, which we want as our next frontier of AI in creative spaces. So thank you so much, and I am ready to take any questions.